Moon Knight, issue number 14. That's right, folks. After 14 issues, this book is still somehow going well? That's so weird to me because normally this is the point in the story where it's the finale. No Moon Knight book really has that long-lasting flavor to it. We're still going strong, though. That's kind of impressive to me. I wonder if there is an end in sight for this book. I know the sales are really good, and I'm going to say that every time, but there's got to be an end in sight, right? Like, we can't do this forever. It definitely feels like there's going to be some conclusion. I don't know. I'm just impressed. More impressed with the restraint on Jed MacKay for being like, oh, I'll get to the altars eventually. You know, people like Lemire and, you know, even Bemis were like, let's just talk about it right away. But it's like issue, I think, 12 was the first appearance of Steven. And I think this is like the first full-fledged appearance of Jake. And you're like, that's pretty impressive considering those characters were highly anticipated for the TV show. Now, I don't know when Jed wrote this, but it definitely feels like it was pre-Moon Knight, the TV series release, because characters haven't been changed to talk a different way. And the thing with that is, I don't know if we're going to retroactively make Steven, you know, British or Jake Spanish. I don't think we're going to do that in the books, but I wouldn't put it past anybody. It seems like something a later writer is going to just be told to do. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It is amazing to me that 14 issues in, it's still good. You know, this is the big conference issue. This is the big one where everybody has to have a big conversation because Steven kind of took control for a minute in the last issue and stopped Mark from killing Zodiac. So the guys just have to talk. Mark's sitting in the Mr. Knight suit. Steven is in a boardroom. And of course, Jake Lockley is just in a strip club having a drink. But they're all metaphorical places, potentially, because the other part of this book is just seeing Mark in the other part of this book is just seeing Mark in the fight with the two assassins from the previous issue, and their names are so stupid. Let's see if I can remember them. Namine and Grand Mal? Yeah, stupid assassins. You get it. But that's not what this book's about. This book is about Steven and Jake teaming up to tell Mark to cut his shit out. I think that's great. They're like, look, we were operating at a pretty good sync, you know. We took down Khonshu in the Age of Khonshu. We stopped all these other bad guys from doing all their crazy stuff. You know, we were doing good. But then you kind of like got a little carried away, Mark. And, you know, because of that, you kind of went a little too far. And the other thing I really like about this book, all of the altars have a different color of dialogue for their narration. Mark is like a teal color, Steven is blue, and of course Jake is red. That's very interesting. I do like that they've leaned into Jake being the gruff persona, but we'll get into that a little bit here. Mark's argument to them is like, I had to take control of the ship because I needed to convince the world that we weren't crazy, that Moon Knight wasn't crazy. That's what I needed to convince them. But now look at what's going on. I have Black Panther stalking me. Everyone thinks we're a liability. No one really wants to work with us. We are pretty far removed from everything. I'm trying to make it look like we know what we're doing, or I know what I'm doing. So can you guys please just respect that? And I really like the way they put this. Like, Steven's just like, Mark, have you ever considered that we're not the problem with people thinking we're crazy? Because it wasn't me who cut off Bushman's face, and it wasn't Lockley who put down the Avengers. Our dissociative identity disorder has never been the source of our problems. Lockley and I have done everything to help you. Like, we were never the ones to do these bad things, Mark. That's you. You're the one who's constantly burning your life down. It's only you. Makes Mark mad, but it's kind of true. Kind of true. And I'm like, you know, because they don't actually say, and either of those things that they mentioned, cutting off Bushman's face or the Age of Khonshu, that Steven or Jake were in control. Those are personas that we don't really deal with in those stories. And it's kind of like, yeah, if you really look at it on some weird level, I could guess it is all Mark. And now that you really like, if you really want to sit down and dive into the history of Moon Knight, is it his dissociative identity disorder that makes him crazy, or is it the actions that Mark makes under the guise of having that makes him crazy, at the idea that he uses it as a vice for his bad behavior and all this time. Potentially, that's a really interesting idea here. And of course, Mark gets defensive and he keeps saying, I need to be normal. I have to act normal. I have to keep things together. I can't break down. I can't change anything. Everything has to be normal. I have this under control. Everything needs to be normal. But you see, Mark lost all the money that Steven made for them. And he also lost all the friends that Jake made for him. Because who really wants to be with Mark Spector? Wow. That's intense. That's intense. But Mark's argument again is like, I don't want to be loved. I don't need to be loved. And Jake is just like, dude, everybody wants to be loved. You're not special for saying that. You're just a guy who wants love. And you're afraid to admit that, and you're hating us because you just can't accept that, you know? You're too busy hating yourself and blaming us to admit that you're afraid to be unloved. And when that's being said, Grand Mal puts like some weird spinal attack onto Mark, and he's just like paralyzed on the ground. It's intense. But Mark, again, I'm not afraid of anything. He's like, Mark, you didn't tell Reese you had DID. You didn't tell her who Stephen Grant was when all that happened. And Mark on the defensive, like, well, she needs me and I need her. I need her because that's who I need to be. She's normal. She's fine. Everyone else I know is crazy. She's got to be fine. Because that's what I want to be. It's like, Mark, she's a vampire. She's not normal. You know? Like, that's not what we need right now. Like, oh, it's brilliant. It's just like a brilliant idea that Mark is the problem. And I think that's so accurate because it's something that's kind of explored in the show, that Mark is the bad alter. He's just like ruining everything in his life, and Steven's kind of the one who should be in charge. But Mark's again like, look, we're fine. I got this under control. You guys don't have to worry about me. Then why are you losing the fight, Mark? Because then we see the beat up and broken Moon Knight is getting his ass kicked by these two unknown people. Just destroying him. I like it. It's like, Mark, we want to help you too. Like, you keep pushing us aside, but all thirds of us, I should say, we are what makes Moon Knight. Because Jake's whole thing is like, I take my scars and I make them my weapons. Your words, but a weapon's useless if you leave it in the sheath. You're operating at 1/3 capacity, Mark. You can fight, you always could, but without us, you're trying to punch out shadows. You don't know who these two are or what they can do, and that's why they're kicking the hell out of you. Like, damn. They're just like, yeah, man, we're not operating at the best strength. And there's something about, maybe it's because I'm reading this book digitally, but there's something very subtle on this panel that I'm going to put up for people to see. When Mark says, I can't, and he's just like, I was wrong, I need help. All of the colors kind of emerge in his eyes, where you can see a little hint of red and blue mixed in with the already big hue of the blue. I think that's a really subtle detail. I can't tell if that was intentional or not, or if it's just like I'm reading it digitally and that's what I'm seeing. But that's really cool. Mark's like, I'm not doing it alone. I never could. And who comes in to help but Hunters, Moon, and Tigra? You know, I'll deal with my shit later. Let me get the big badasses out to help me with this situation. I like that. And Mark's kind of like, okay, you're both right. I've kind of messed up a lot in my life, and I maybe blamed you two for a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, I thought I had to make a new version of myself, but I'm going to have to do that with you guys. Which I like the idea that this could potentially be setting up a new Moon Knight costume. One with all three of their personalities on display. He thinks that's a really fun idea. This book is great. And I'm struggling to talk about it because I'm still getting over my sickness, but I just couldn't wait because I'm like, this is kind of brilliant. Where it's like, we're not crazy because you have this illness. We're crazy because you can't stop yourself from going that far. You are a mixed bag of everything. You don't want to use us, you use us, you don't know how to control what you're feeling, and that's where the problem comes in. Like, that's a really cool idea. A really fun concept to explore of Moon Knight. And again, the writing's superb. I know my words aren't really sounding that great right now, but oof, it sounds great. Artwork is fantastic. The subtle color changes for each persona that we see, I love it. I love the pinks and purples and reds for Jake. It's a great idea. And just like the bright greens and yellows when Mark is there, and the subtle, just like dull colors when it's Steven, I think that's a really smart choice. I really dig that idea. This book is surprisingly cool, and it just sets up like, hey, Mark's probably dead. Paralyzed and just got beaten up again. You know, his cat lady and brother come in to help him. Are they going to save him? Who is to say what's going to happen next? All we know is Mark's probably going to get his ass kicked again. And maybe he'll get some help this time. So it's pretty cool. I dig it. It's really fun. This issue continues to impress me, and I cannot wait to see what is coming next for this run. It's unbelievable that we've made it this far in. I love it. I love it. So Moon Knight, issue number 14, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.